definition, not gonna.
If you love wisdom, put your mind up to the ceiling. Don't let it stay in the gutter. Don't let your heart get all cluttered. No, I did not stutter. Listen to all that I've muttered. Your life will only go well if you and wisdom are lovers.
If you're in love with wisdom, come inside.
Come inside. Come inside.
The truth will surely rescue you and I.
You and I. You and I.
If you're in love with wisdom, come inside.
Come inside. Come inside.
The truth will surely rescue you and I.
Hey, what's going on, and a good afternoon to you. This is JC Johnson, and you're listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets. All right, on today's episode, we are discussing the wisdom of celebrity. All right, so that's a word that is very common in our culture, but what does that word actually mean? And is it a good thing or a bad thing to be a celebrity? That's what we're going to talk about today. So definitely stick around. We're going to go to a quick break, but we'll be right back after this. You're on North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you.
If you're in love with wisdom, come inside.
Come inside.
Hey, what's going on, Wisdom family? Each week on For the Love of Wisdom, we promote a new and free audiobook that we believe you will benefit from and become wiser by listening to. On today's show, we're talking about the wisdom of celebrity. And so, the recommended book for this week is Dealing with Fame by Frank Shapiro. This book is about how to handle challenges and how to avoid the downward spiral that leads many celebrities to drink, drugs, and depression. To download this free book today, just visit audibletrial.com/lovewisdom. audibletrial.com/lovewisdom.
All right, welcome back. This is your host, JC Johnson, and you're listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets. All right, so on today's episode, we are discussing the wisdom of celebrity. And before we get into that, just a quick recap, and just to let you know what the show is all about. If you're new to the show, this is a show about philosophy, all right? But it's philosophy with an interesting twist, I would say. The theme of the show comes from a verse in Psalm 90, verse 12, that says, "Teach us to number our days carefully so that we may develop wisdom in our hearts." All right, and I think that really sums it up. The word philosophy, if you break it down, literally means love of wisdom. All right, so it comes from the Greek words philo and the Greek word sophos. Philo means love and sophos means wisdom. All right, and so that's why it's called For the Love of Wisdom. And wisdom is what? Wisdom is the ability to discern. It's about having good sense, insight, or judgment. It's the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment in all things, right? So that's what wisdom is all about. It's about us knowing how to make the proper decisions, no matter what's going on in our lives. And each of the shows have the same suffix. So if you've been listening for a while, you'll see that each of the show episodes actually end with the letters ITY, and that's not a coincidence. You know, that's done on purpose. So for those of you who are wondering, are these the only types of words I know? No, they're not. This is actually done purposefully, you know, just something to add some continuity to the show. And we're coming up on our 50th episode, so once we get there, we're going to switch it up a little bit. We're probably going to change the titles of each of the individual shows, possibly change the suffix or the prefix, just depending on what kind of feedback we get, because I'm allowing each person to submit whatever they feel would be best. You can hit me up on Twitter at LoveWise Podcast. That's at LoveWise Podcast. That's the handle, and you can just let me know, hey, I think it would be cool if maybe for the next episodes the suffix could, you know, maybe end with the ENCE, or maybe the prefix, right, the beginning of the word. Maybe the show titles could begin with a PRE, right, or something like that. So or a UNI. So anything like that. If you have a suggestion, you can definitely hit me up. I'm open to suggestions all the time, because hey, you're the one that's listening, so I think you should be able to give your feedback on that. Now, last week on For the Love of Wisdom, we discussed the wisdom of availability. In the first hour, we actually discussed availability, and in the second hour, we discussed versatility, right? And here's a quote that we had touched on last time, and this one says, competent in many things. Actually, this is the definition. The definition of versatility: competent in many things, able to turn easily from one subject or occupation to another. So this is somebody who is able to be in several different environments and to be able to adapt, and not only to survive but to thrive in those different settings and situations. A quote from Richie Norton that I think is really good, that summed up those last couple episodes: attempting to succeed without embracing the tools immediately available for your success is no less absurd than trying to row a boat by drawing only your hands through the water, or trying to unscrew a screw using nothing more than your fingernail. I mean, if you think about it, that's pretty challenging, right? That's not something that we would want to do, thinking that we're going to be successful doing that, right? So it was a great conversation last time. We touched on some really important topics, and if you missed it, don't worry, you can always download those episodes for free. All right, so we're not charging you for that. That's something you can always hear for free. Just go to iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, iHeart, Google Play Music, anywhere where you listen to podcasts, and you'll be able to listen to past episodes of For the Love of Wisdom. And if you have an Amazon Alexa device, you can just say, Alexa, play For the Love of Wisdom, and you'll be able to bring up the episodes hands-free. So just go online today and look up For the Love of Wisdom, and continue listening on whatever your favorite podcast platform is. You know, I prefer using either iTunes or Spotify. You know, that's just my preference. Maybe you like to use TuneIn. I used to use TuneIn, but that was back when they used to offer audiobooks. They don't anymore, but that's a whole different story, right? So we all have our different preferences. Some people like iHeartRadio or Google Play, but whatever you listen to, you'll be able to catch past shows on there. And today's episodes will also be available later on this evening. So if you miss anything, you can always go back and check those out. All right, so today we are discussing celebrity, the wisdom of celebrity, right? So what does this mean? Does this mean that celebrities have some great wisdom to share with us? Well, in part, yes. You know, I think that anybody who has any level of success has some things that are important to share, but it's really not about that too much. It's more so about looking at what the word celebrity actually means. It's looking at, can a person be a celebrity, or should they want to be a celebrity in the truest sense of the word? Not necessarily how we look at the word in 2018, but really the context of it as it goes back to the origin of the word, right? So one thing I always like to do is to look up the etymology of words, because, you know, words morph and change over time. So the word enthusiastic, for example, it means something totally different now than it used to mean 100 years ago, right? So it used to be considered something more negative, like this is a person who's, you know, mentally ill, someone who's insane, like this person's enthusiastic, right? This person's, you know, bouncing off the walls, they're all over the place, right? But now we use the word enthusiastic like, oh, this person is really happy, you know, they're really excited about something, they're really passionate, right? But, you know, sometimes words, you know, the meaning of words change over time, and it's important to know where these words come from, because it helps us to kind of understand the true meaning of them. And we need to know what we're talking about whenever we're discussing anything. I think that is a really good step towards wisdom and understanding and knowledge. So if we take a look at the etymology dictionary, we'll see here that the word celebrity, one of the earliest usages can be dated back to the 14th century. And it basically means a solemn rite or ceremony. It's a celebration, right? So if you think about that word celebrity, it does sound a lot like celebrate or celebration, right? So what are we celebrating exactly? Well, let's look at it a little bit further. It can mean multitude, fame, frequented, populous, right? right? So basically, since around 1600, it came to mean a condition of being famous, or that of a famous person, right? So what does this word celebrate mean, though? So when we're celebrating someone, we're saying someone is a celebrity. We're saying that we are celebrating something that they are, something that they do. So the word celebrate, it means a symbol to honor, to publish, to sing praises of, practice often. All right, so a person who is a celebrity, according to this, is someone who is being honored. It's someone who is being praised often. It says, people are singing praises to this person or about this person. And why is that? The general sense is to commemorate or honor with demonstrations of joy. Formally, it also could be with demonstrations of sorrow or regret. So it can be either a positive thing or a negative thing. So sometimes being a celebrity is not all about glitz and glam. Sometimes it's about those low, very low moments. And we hear about that all the time on TMZ and the different tabloids and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Keep listening. You're listening to For the Love of Wisdom on North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you. And when we come back, we're going to dive a little bit deeper into this word and see what's in the news about celebrities in 2018.
3, 2, 1.
This is your girl, Juicy Jazzo, and I wanted to let you know I'm all about wisdom. Knowledge is power, power is money, and money makes the world go round. And you're listening to For the Love of Wisdom right now, bleeding out the speakers.
All right, welcome back. This is your host, JC Johnston, and you're listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets. And we are on North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you. Right, on today's show, we are discussing the wisdom of celebrity. Right, so before the break, we started the conversation just by looking at what this word celebrity means. And so we looked at some of the origins of the word. It has Old French and Latin origins, and essentially this word means someone who is honored, someone who people sing praises of, right? A person who is widely known, someone who's praised, someone who's glorified by others. And let's take a look now into a little bit more into this word first. So when you're talking about something that is, honored, or you're talking about someone who is well known, then typically, at least historically, you're talking about someone who has done something great, someone who has done what would be considered worthy of praise, right? So you think of somebody like Albert Einstein. Why is he famous? Why is he a celebrity? He's well known for his intellect and for his contributions to society, right? But then if you look at someone, let's just say Kim Kardashian, for example, starting out, how did she become a celebrity? Well, she didn't become a celebrity in the same way that Albert Einstein did. I'll just say that. So people have different ways of getting there. And I think that in the days and times that we're living in now, it seems that the standard for becoming well known or widely praised, being a celebrity, the standard has dropped significantly. So if being a celebrity means being celebrated or honored by people, then what does that mean for us? Right? Like, how can we live in such a way that would make us worthy of honor or being celebrated? We think that celebrities are only people who are on TV. And to an extent, depending on how you're looking at the word, that may be true. But a celebrity, just looking at it in its rawest form, that word means somebody who is praised. And depending on how you live your life, it may determine whether you are praised by others or spoken poorly about by others. There's a popular phrase, and it goes like this: people who are famous for being famous. right? Have you ever known of someone like that? It's not that they've necessarily made great contributions to society, but they are famous simply for being famous. And in times past, you actually had to accomplish something great, or maybe even extremely evil, yet something that was still, something that still was carried out, and it had a major impact on people, right? But you had to do something that really made a huge impact on society before, in order to be considered famous, to be a celebrity, right? To be celebrated. So, but let's take a look at some people from the past, some from the recent past, and some from the more distant past. People who made an impact on society. They became celebrities, but not for something, doing something, outrageous. Well, maybe outrageous in the sense that no one liked what they were doing, but not outrageous in the sense that it was inappropriate. It was actually, they actually became celebrities for doing what is right, for doing things that are good. All right, so for example, if we take a look at someone like Dr. Martin Luther King, all right, he's a well-known person, right? So what is it about Dr. Martin Luther King that makes him a celebrity? Well, he became a celebrity when he led the 1955 Montgomery bus boycott. This is where he really gained international attention. This is where people began to see, see him as the public figure that we know of today. Now, he was well known before that within particular circles. He was well known. He was a pastor, so he was well known in his church. He was well known within his community, but he didn't gain international stardom until this happened, until he led the bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama. Later on, a couple years later, he founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, and he was the first president of that. So, during this time, he was gaining a lot of attention because he was doing something positive. Now, it was considered controversial during his day, but it was something that was positive. It's not something that is shameful. It was actually something that was pretty incredible, something that was worthy of praise, right? And that's the thing. We have to ask ourselves, is what we do praiseworthy? Right? Because if you're being praised for harming people, right? Or you're being praised for, leading people astray or something, then that's not good. But if you're being praised for something that's actually worth being praised for, then that's a good thing. Take somebody else like Dietrich Bonhoeffer. All right, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was a German Lutheran pastor who spoke publicly against Adolf Hitler's Nazi regime in Germany. So this is somebody who definitely received a lot of criticism because he stood up for what was right when a lot of other people were refusing to do so. And what happened to him was he was eventually executed along with the Jews that he spoke up for. And he was put into a concentration camp. He was killed there. Now, he did not have to risk his life. Now, he risked his life in some ways in order to do what he felt was right. And he was caught and he was executed for it. He didn't have to do it. He could have just kept his mouth shut and lived a normal life. He could have just pretended, like a lot of other people, that what Hitler was doing was okay. He had no reason to put himself out there. So becoming a celebrity in this sense was dangerous. This wasn't something popular, right? It wasn't about, how many likes he could get in his social media accounts, right? This was serious. This was life or death. So when he became well known for this, he knew that there would be no turning back. And that's a courage. That's a great strength that I think is missing a lot of times now. Take somebody like William Tyndale. It was illegal during his day, back in the 1500s, to translate the Bible from Latin to English. And it may seem crazy considering today's legal system, but back then, that was a pretty big deal. And he was arrested and he was killed just for translating the Bible into English. And if you think about how many English translations there are today, it almost sounds crazy, right? But I mean, think about it. He did this. He translated this. This is even before the King James version, which a lot of people are familiar with. It's a very popular English translation, but this was before all that. This was before it was cool to do so, right? And so he was arrested and killed for translating the Bible. And he did this because he believed that it was the right thing to do. And as a result, he instantly became an overnight celebrity, right? So, again, just like Dietrich Bonhoeffer, him becoming famous or celebrated or a celebrity, it didn't happen necessarily in the easiest way. He had to lay his life down for this. And so you have to ask yourself, if you were to become well known, if you were going to become famous for something, do you want to be famous for doing something positive, right? Or do you want to be famous or infamous for doing something that's evil? So that's something you really have to think about. And these people right here, they laid their lives down to do what was right. But more on that after this. We're on North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you.
Hey, what's up? It's your girl Queen Z from the Queen Z Show, and you are listening to For the Love of Wisdom.
Right, welcome back. You were listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets. And we are on North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you. And I'm your host, JC Johnson. And today we are discussing the wisdom of celebrity. Now, before the break, we talked about how celebrities, right, are people who are honored. These are people who are celebrated, or basically people who are considered worthy of praise, right? At least they're supposed to be. And so we looked at a few people who became famous or who became celebrities for doing what is right. People like Dr. Martin Luther King, Dietrich Bonhoeffer, or William Tyndale. Now, if people were to celebrate you, I want you to ask yourself, if people were to celebrate you, what would it be for? In 2018, right, one can be celebrated simply for starring in a sex tape, or for posting a silly comment on social media, or maybe for making a funny video on YouTube, or getting caught on camera having a fight with someone over something stupid, right? I mean, you can literally become famous overnight for anything in the days and times that we're living in. But if you are going to become well known, if you are going to become famous, it should be for a good reason, right? Because if not, then what else is the purpose? Why would you want just, everyone knowing who you are? Why would you want to do that for nothing? Well, some people think it's cool. They say, hey, I want to be on TV. I want to be, someone who's considered, big time, or, someone that everybody loves. But there's a cost to that. And I think that's the thing that not everybody thinks about. They don't think about the price that people who are in the spotlight have to pay. And it's a heavy price. So we're going to look into an article now which discusses this very thing. And it's called Advantages and Disadvantages of Being a Celebrity. And I think that this is pretty good here. And this is from realrundown.com. And this article says this: being a celebrity has its ups and downs. Okay? Being a celebrity, or simply being famous, has its own advantages and disadvantages. And the common perception is that celebrities are famous, and these people have nothing to worry about because they have everything in life, right? These are people that have it all. And so some might think, well, the grass is greener on the other side, isn't it? So the article goes on to say, the truth is that there are many downsides and disadvantages of being a celebrity, as there are the number of benefits. Who said being famous was always fun? Decide for yourself, right? So here they give some pretty good answers to these questions. They look at 5 advantages for being a celebrity and 5 disadvantages. So let's take a look at the 5 advantages. Okay, number 1, celebrities get special treatment wherever they go. And this is true, right? You know, if you think about it, if you're well known or you're wealthy, isn't it crazy how now that you are able to pretty much afford almost anything, that you get so many things for free, right? So a homeless person who's outside on the street, he may stand outside of a restaurant and ask that they give him the scraps that are being thrown out by, you know, people who don't want the food, and they'll probably turn him away. Yet you may have a billionaire or a really well-known person coming to that same restaurant who can afford not only their own meal, but afford everyone's meals really in there. But not only will they allow them to come in and sit them in the nicest place in the restaurant, most of the time they'll actually say that that meal is on the house. They don't even have to pay for it, even though they are well within their means to do so. It's crazy. So here the website says that from special seats at theaters to special tables at restaurants, celebrities are given the advantage of being the preferred customers everywhere they go. And that's true. That's really true. The second thing they say is that being famous generally means being richer. Now, the two don't always go hand in hand. Some people are famous but not wealthy, such as maybe an artist that signs a really bad record deal. Maybe their face is everywhere, but their money is also everywhere. It goes to this person and that person and that person and that person, right? But a person who is able to capitalize on their fame, generally it means that they're richer. So here's what they have to say: luxurious homes and cars, fancy gifts, expensive clothes, and other such materialistic pleasures of life convert from a dream to a reality when people become famous celebrities. And then it goes on to say, forget homes, celebrities are also known to own entire islands. And that's true, right? So just imagine, you know, going from maybe not even being able to pay for a studio apartment to owning an island. I mean, that right there can mess with anybody's mind, really. So how does a person handle that amount of wealth, that amount of freedom to really be able to literally do whatever they want? Sometimes it seems that even without consequences, because you see all the time that celebrities get away with some pretty crazy stuff, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But typically fame goes hand in hand with having financial resources. Now, there are times that people don't know how to capitalize on that. There was a well-known basketball player who actually, after he left the NBA, he wasn't able to make money anymore the way that he was used to, and he ended up having a job at McDonald's. And many people may wonder, how can you go from playing in the NBA to working at McDonald's? Well, the reason for that is just because somebody is famous, it doesn't mean that they have good business sense, right? It doesn't mean that they are somebody who is able to truly take advantage of all of those opportunities that have been given to them while they were at the top of their game. Another advantage they say here: celebrities are recognized anywhere they go, and people often experience a massive ego boost when random bystanders recognize them, right? So it can be a great opportunity to boast to a friend and say, oh, I'm so famous, everyone recognizes me, right? But that also comes with its problems too, okay? Here's 2 more advantages. Celebrities and famous people have fans. Fan mail and other forms of appreciation that celebrities receive can be inspirational, motivational, and very humbling. After all, Who wouldn't like to have their own fans, followers, and worshipers, right? But then, so one last thing. Many opportunities arise when people become famous. So someone like Michael Jordan made a living not only from playing ball, he was also the face of Nike and promoted many other brands. And someone like Kim Kardashian can afford to dwell into newer businesses like fashion apparel and perfumes simply because she is famous and can afford to sustain and promote them, right? So there are a lot of advantages to being a celebrity. And, you know, if used correctly, it can really change someone's life in a positive way. But unfortunately, and as we see in the news all the time, there are many people who don't know how to handle being a celebrity, and they get themselves into all types of trouble and have headaches that they wish they had never signed themselves up for. So when we come back from the break, we're actually going to look at those disadvantages to being a celebrity and what can be done about that. All right, so you're listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets on North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you.
You're now listening to For the Love of Wisdom on NorthCoastUnderground.com, where the underground starts with who? No other but you.
Welcome back. You're listening to For the Love of Wisdom, where philosophy meets the streets, and I'm your host, JC Johnson. All right, today we are talking about the wisdom of celebrity, right? So what can we learn from some of the good and some of the bad as it relates to people who are celebrated, well-known, famous, praiseworthy, right? According to the definition, right? What can we learn from this? Now, before the break, we looked at some of the advantages of being a celebrity, right? And this is simply someone who is in the public eye, someone who has gained a lot of attention for doing something, whether it's something amazing, something incredible, or something not so incredible yet. They got a lot of exposure doing it, so they became famous as a result. There's a lot of different ways people become famous. We talked about that earlier in the show. And if you missed it, don't worry. We're going to post this later online as a podcast. So you can just look up For the Love of Wisdom anywhere where you like listening to podcasts. iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Google Play Music. Even on Alexa, you can just say, Alexa, play For the Love of Wisdom, and you'll be able to catch it that way. Right, and you can always join the conversation. You can connect with me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @LoveWisePodcast. All right, so we looked at the advantages of being a celebrity. Now let's look at the disadvantages. All right, there's 5. Number 1, famous people can't do things that the average person can. Okay, so what are some of those things? Well, for example, playing ball at the neighborhood playground. Right? This is something that a person who's famous can't do anymore. Maybe they used to do that back in the day with no problems, but now all of a sudden they can't, even walk outside without having 100 people trying to take their picture or ask them for an autograph. You can't go shopping at the grocery store anymore. You probably have to send people to go grocery shopping for you. People just can't handle that. It's like, oh my gosh, I've seen you on a box with moving pictures, and now I'm obsessed because I'm seeing you in person. It's like people don't know how to handle that. Going for an uninterrupted walk or a bicycle ride on the beach, right? Because as soon as somebody spots you, that's it, game over. You're not going to get any peace, even though you went to a place where you thought you were going to get some peace. But nope, if you're a celebrity, and in these days and times we're living in, you will be mobbed by a bunch of people, right? What about sitting on the park bench reading a book without being asked, can I take a picture of you? No, it's not going to happen. Most likely, someone is going to want a picture. They're going to want an autograph. They're going to want something from you. Even just having a quiet dinner with family at a local restaurant, you can't do that, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. Number 2, being famous or being a celebrity can attract stalkers. Right now, that can be scary, right? stalkers. Who wants those? Hopefully not you. Famous people are often followed or harassed by phone, email, or mail by fans or followers who cross the line and become obsessed. And obsession can turn into threats and even physical harm. So that's something to be mindful of, right? That's not the life that I think many people would sign themselves up for on purpose. Also, a celebrity status can attract too many fake friends, right? So what does that mean? People who they just want something from you. They have ulterior motives, right? They don't like you because of who you are. They like you because of what you do and what they think you can do for them. So as one would imagine, it would be a nerve-wracking experience to scrutinize each and every individual that comes into your life, right? So this article is saying basically it would literally translate to being on guard every single hour, minute, and second of the day, because you always have to wonder, what is this person's motive? Why are they trying to befriend me? What do they want from me? Do they want my money? Do they just want to be on TV? What do they want? Or even, are they jealous of me? Are they hoping to somehow bring me down so that I'm not out here anymore? Maybe they want to take my place, right? What's Drake said in the song, talking about people who want to, smile in his face, but they really want to take his place, right? That's what happens when a person is super well known. Another one, it says people constantly judge celebrities, and this is very true. I mean, just look at TMZ. That's what they're all about. It's a celebrity gossip show, or even The Breakfast Club. This is something that they do constantly. They talk about people, and these people don't ask to be talked about. However, when you put yourself in that situation, when you become well known, I mean, you're just game for anyone to be able to come and say whatever they want about you. So it's like having 1 million people talk behind your back on a daily basis, and that's crazy, right? Just imagine how hard-hitting this would be if a tabloid talked about how fat you are or how sleazy you are. This is what the article says, and that's true. That's true. I mean, who would want that? Celebrities have no privacy. That's the last one. That's the 5th disadvantage. And it gives an example here about Paris Hilton. It says, if Paris Hilton and her boyfriend have an argument or a fight in a nightclub, the whole world is going to know about it, right? There's no secrets. So a lack of privacy is one of the biggest disadvantages of being a celebrity, right? So there are many problems that one can face with that. Christina Aguilera, she's actually known to say in a recent article that was just published a couple days ago, she said she won't date a fellow celebrity. That's pretty interesting. And here's what she had to say. She said, it's hard to hear yourself being called names. She talks about just how difficult it is being out there. And when it comes to dating celebrities, she says, I've had my opportunities, but it isn't my style to date another person in the business. There's got to be something wrong with you if you want to be in this business. I mean, I definitely have my issues. I think that I can only handle one celebrity in the relationship, and I need to be it. Wow, that's crazy. We'll be right back in the next hour. You're listening on North Coast Underground, where the underground starts with you.
Power is money, and money makes the world go round. Money, power, respect, I get it. Higher, learning, yeah, I'm with it. Only get better with time, you got on my mind with wisdom. There's no limit, there's no limit. Get up and get it, can achieve the impossible, conquer every obstacle. Exhausted from grinding, constantly push and do what they say I could. Life is what you make it. Knowledge is power, don't let them take it.